this idea that you're the best.
This is where the power lies.
He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family.
You know who I am. But you don't know why I'm here.
I'm the best. I'm the best in the world.
From the top to the bottom. And because they can't handle the Macho Man Randy Savage, the cream of the crop, nobody does it better.
This ain't WCW. This ain't Monday Night Raw. This ain't SmackDown. This ain't even WWE.
It's time to step into the squared circle and get it done.
Welcome back, everyone, to Legends and Champions. Andy here, of course, the one, the only Andy E.
You are the one and only. Nobody you'd rather be. You are the one and only. You're the fantastic Andy. Boom.
Okay.
I thought that was me being nice.
That was you being nice. It was very weird. Yeah, I don't know. That's completely thrown me. Plus the fact that we've had technical issues and I've had to move to Zoom and I'm on the wrong side of the screen and it's really putting me off. Because when we record this, you're normally on the right-hand side and I'm on the left-hand side, but I'm now on the right-hand side and you're on the left-hand side. And it's throwing my OCD out completely. It's like, ow! Welcome, as I said, welcome everyone to Legends and Champions. We called an audible this week. And when I say we called an audible, we called it 90 seconds before we hit record because we were going to be talking about the greatest factions of the 1990s. However, we have now decided to bring SummerSlam season forward, which means we are talking about SummerSlam 89. And you know what this means, Stefan, is that we can now add an extra SummerSlam into the SummerSlam season. So, which one could we do? Could we doing 89, 95, 02, 05? Oh, as they've just released it on the WWE Vault, they released the SummerSlam 93 Sizzler show, which was like the warm-up.
Yeah.
Can we please cover SummerSlam 93 as our bonus?
Hell yeah.
SummerSlam 93, the Battle of Luger.
Luger and Yoko.
Lugazuna.
Yeah, Lugazuna.
All right, we're going to get to it. So we called an audible. We're going to be talking about SummerSlam 89 this week. Stefan, how you doing, sir?
I am not too bad, my friend. I'm good. This heat is driving me mad. For our people abroad, honestly, you know, I know the UK gets bashed for having poor weather and stuff like that, but when we get the summer weather, it really hurts. It's horrible. So yeah, I'm not enjoying it. Apart from the weather, I'm good.
Well, the thing is, though, I was listening to a report on the news yesterday, and they were saying that this is what we can expect now. We can either expect months and months and months of drought and sweating like there's no tomorrow. I think I've lost my body weight in sweat over the last week. Or we can expect months and months of rain. Oh, nuts.
Oh, damn, whatever shall we do?
No, nuts. I missed it. We're going to go. Oh, hold on. It's an impromptu version of Andy's weather report because I forgot to play the damn sound effect before we started talking about it. Stefan, if you want to get in contact with us at Celebrate Wrestling, how do you do it?
Well, do you know what? I asked Self this very, very question.
No.
And Self said, don't ask me because Andy always asks me, think for yourself. So I went, okay, thanks, Self. I'll do it myself. Too many selves going on there. So basically what you do is you head over to the Facebook and you look for Celebrate Wrestling. You to join, you have to answer a couple of questions because Mr. Zuckerberg and Meta demand it. And El Capitano, Mr. Mike Maguire, our leader, our brethren, will let you in. And you can join, get involved with all of us. We're all active on there. And you can help shape the future of the show, decide what we're going to talk about, and do it at your own free will without having to worry about any dramas because it is a no-jerk zone. It is a drama-free zone. And it's the place to be. So there you have it. And that's the bottom line. Not because Stone Cold said so, but because I said so. So,
right.
Pretty much.
Actually, do you know what? I've got a bone to pick with Mike.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I have got a bone to pick with Mike because I was catching up on some episodes of MOW, right? Because there's so many podcasts and so many wonderful shows, and I listen to them every week. And there was one in a recent episode that Mike released, which was talking about the marathon weekend, the endurance weekend of Saturday night's main event, Great American Bash, All In, and Evolution, where Mike asked Self a question.
He did what?
He asked Self a question and Self answered.
Is nothing sacred anymore?
Well, I mean, in fairness, we have stolen the alternate scenario a couple of times from the alternate commentary table.
That's true.
But I mean, this is Self. And I said to Self, I went, Self, how do you feel about that? And Self said, he paid me more.
Damn it. See, and I couldn't even get a favour from Self by just asking him a question, as we just found out. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, Andy.
It's ridiculous. I mean, Mike, gimmick infringement, sir. I know you own the network, and I know you basically own me, but that's Self. You can't use Self on your shows.
No. But touching on All In, AEW All In, I personally want to send my thoughts out. I mean, we don't know exactly what's going on, but I want to send my best wishes out to Adam Cole, baby. Because something's going on with him. As anyone who knows me, I've met the guy. I genuinely feel he is literally one of the kindest, loveliest human beings I've ever met from the world of professional wrestling. Honestly, I can't fault the guy. He's an absolute star. And I am a big fan of his, and he's had it really rough since he joined AEW with his stuff with concussions and other things. We don't know. We're not going to speculate exactly what is going on. I mean, by the time this probably comes out for you all to listen to, we would probably know by then. But whatever is going on, and I just want to send my best wishes out to Adam Cole and wish him well.
Yeah, to break the fourth wall, we're filming this. We're recording this about 72 hours after All In. So it's still obviously very new and nothing's really come out. But, Dave referenced it on Maguire on Wrestling, the Ad 3 edition, where he kind of said it was concussion related or referred it to be concussion related. That was my gut feeling when it happened, because it apparently it was from a clothesline by Carl Fletcher as well. That did it. I mean, it's what happens when you get in the ring, right? Everybody knows the risks when you get in the ring, that you put your body on the line. I worked with Adam Cole on TSC. No, not TSC, TWS. And we did the Wrestling Road Diaries. And this is when Adam was just breaking in, and he was part of Ring of Honor. And yeah, he was a cracking guy. He came on every month. And then when he won the ROH World Championship, it all kind of died off. But really genuine guy. Best wishes go out to him. And also to Seth Rollins.
He, no pun intended, but the guy, he can't catch a break either. It's like literally, his knee issue just seems to be constant. Every now and again, his knee just seems to just give out, and it's very worrying, isn't it, when you see these top stars, where you actually start thinking, are they actually more closer to the end of their careers as we ever imagined, because they're parts of their body, they just can't take it anymore.
It's interesting though when you think about it, isn't it? Because Rollins has been WWE since early to like mid 2000s. I think it was 2008, 2009 where he debuted in the World Wrestling Federation as part of NXT. Well, maybe 2008. I don't know. Anyway,
I think it was about 20. I think it was saying like 2012 or something.
Something like that.
So 20. Yeah, something like that, wasn't it?
But obviously,
2012 was when he debuted with the Shield.
Yeah, but obviously he spent. Yeah, but obviously he spent a few years in NXT and was the NXT champion and stuff. What everybody forgets is that it was Tyler Black in Ring of Honor. So this guy has been around. Colby's been around for years, really. And same with Adam Cole. So by the time they hit the big leagues, we all kind of sit there and go, oh. They've only had a 10-year career within the WWE or a 15-year career within WWE or whatever it was in AEW. But actually, they've been around for 20 years. And when you get to WWE or when you get to AEW or TNA or New Japan, some people consider it to be the pinnacle of your career, but it's the backstory that that leads into that.
I mean, I met Adam Cole back in 2018. It was backstage at the Royal Albert Hall for the NXT and the United Kingdom Championship Tournament event. It was the 2-night event, and he was there with Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly because Bobby Fish was out injured at the time. And one of the guys I did security with was working the event and pulled some strings and got me backstage. So, so those guys of Undisputed Era, Alistair Black, Pete Dunne, who I knew anyway, and Ricochet and that were all there. So I got to meet them. And I was talking to, me and Roderick Strong was talking about fatherhood of all subjects. We was talking about fatherhood. And I was saying, letting them know about how, a big fan of the Undisputed Era, my boy, Kieran was at the time and whatnot, and going against the grain because obviously their security is very tight-shipped, as we know, and that it was actually Adam Cole that turned around and said, he was like, dude, get your camera at the ready, and they filmed a little video from which anyone who's on my socials has seen before, and they didn't have to do that, and they was just talking about fatherhood, and Adam Cole just genuinely was just the nicest, sweetest guy that I'd ever met, and it's really, really tough knowing how I can't imagine a world where wrestling is taken away from someone like Adam Cole, who literally lives and breathes it and love.
It won't be taken away from him. It won't be taken away from him, even if he's no longer, in the ring. He will be a Bryan Danielson. He'll be a producer behind the scenes or something like that. He's got a mind for it. But let's turn it around and talk about something a bit more fun, because obviously, we, as you quite rightly said, we're about 3 weeks away, 3 weeks out from the injury. Much more is it's a bit weird doing this show, isn't it? Because we're taping it 72 hours, but actually it's about 3 weeks out by the time you listen to this. So hopefully more information will be available on both of them, but our best wishes go out to them. Now, 1989, people, was an interesting year in the world of professional wrestling, because a certain red and yellow with a blonde hairstyle decided he wanted to invade the movies, and him and Vince McMahon created a movie concept called No Holds Barred. And Stefan's getting really excited about this. It was, interesting. So just give you some facts about this film, because it was released on June the 2nd, 1989. It had a reported budget of $8 million. In its opening weekend, it landed at number 2 at the US box office. But it was never going to get number 1, because do you know, Stefan, what the number 1 movie, and if you're Googling it, I will hurt you. Do you know what the number 1 movie released on the weekend of June the 2nd, 1989 that knocked No Holds Barred off the top spot? Do you know what that film was?
Yes, I do. I do. I already actually know, and I've not Googled it. I'm not typing or anything. I do know what it is. It was a certain movie sequel that starred a certain Harrison Ford, alongside with Sean Connery playing his father. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was.
It was the second one. Yeah, Last Crusade. That's it. Yeah.
In fairness, it was the 3rd movie in the franchise, and it was probably the best. Temple of Doom could rival it, maybe. Raiders, that's a different total. But Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, to put this into context, earned $4.9 million in total gross in the US, and Canada reached $16 million. Not really good.
Right, okay, so you said I was getting excited. Now, obviously, as a kid, massive Hulkamaniac, this was a big deal for me, seeing Hogan in a movie. I still, to this day, love this film to death. Like, even though it's so cringeworthy, it's so poorly acted in places, it is just way over the top. I can't help but love this movie. This movie was something that I used to watch so many times. And it had Kurt Fuller in it. I mean, Kurt Fuller was great as a bad guy in every movie he's ever been in. Like, even when he was in Wayne's World, like, he was still great. When he was in Ghostbusters 2, which came out the same year, he was still a great pain in the backside. Honestly, I loved it. And what I loved as well was the opening segment with Hogan as Rip, as World Wrestling Federation champion, because they used the World Wrestling Federation name and everything like that. Bill Eadie, also known as Axe from Demolition, actually played Bullet, which was his opponent in the opening segment. And when you've got Jesse Ventura in there, as well as Gene Okerlund in there, and Fink is ring announcing, when you're a little kid and is obsessed with the WWF, I mean, this is everything you ever want on the big screen. So, I loved it. I did.
This was the World Wrestling Federation version of Ready to Rumble. Although I actually think Ready to Rumble was better than No Holds Barred.
I have to, Ready to Rumble is better than
it's an amazing film.
It's a great film.
You talk about the big screen though, and you talk about those guys being on there. They'd already been in 2 episodes of the A-Team.
True.
And later on, Baywatch.
Yeah.
Well, the WCW guys would have been in it. I mean, the character of Rip, I mean, it wasn't a far stretch for Hogan's acting ability, was it? Because it was basically Hulk Hogan in blue and white.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when you look at the T-shirt, it was the same Hogan Rip T-shirt that he walked to the ring and he ripped. It was Hulk Hogan with a different name.
Yeah.
But I think
I've got the light blue T-shirt with the Rip'em slogan on the front. When that went live I remember a few years or so back when that went live, they announced it on the WWE Euro Shop. That it was on it. It was a day one purchase. I was like, oh my god, it's a No Holds Barred T-shirt. Go straight in, got it. I still got it and wear it now and again. Oh, I love it. It's a terrible movie, but I love it.
Well, this is where the era of movies and wrestling collide, because not only did we see the debut of Tony Lister Jr.'s character make his debut in the film, he also then made his debut in the World Wrestling Federation. And what you may not know, I expect you do, because you seem to be a bit of a nut job on this film, is that No Holds Barred really did have this real life feud between Tommy Lister and Hogan, because Zeus felt that he, not Hogan, should have got top billing on that movie, and he wanted revenge in a wrestling ring. So this led us to our main event, because you already had the fallout from WrestleMania 5, which was, of course, the explosion of the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage, now winning the King of the Ring and becoming the Macho King Randy Savage, which always made me laugh, because now it's a year, but the Macho King was the Macho King for quite a long time. And on SummerSlam, you also had Hacksaw King Hacksaw.
King Hacksaw, yeah. I remember, I still, to this day, not quite sure how that came about in that one. But I remember, obviously, he had his whole face painted as well, like Demolition, he had the American flag. I actually really enjoyed the match on it that they had at this, because it was fun, and I loved, because obviously the finish, he uses the 2x4 to help win the match, but I loved when the replay shows Andre the Giant's reaction of trying to point out that he's cheated, that literally Andre the Giant of all people begging and pleading, almost looks like he's almost in tears, he's pointing as if to say, look, he's cheated. I've never seen Andre react that way before, and that was comical.
Andre was a really good, talented performer. In fact, we could do a whole series on Andre the Giant.
I'm sure we will at some point.
In 2026. We're mapped out for the rest of the year, believe it or not. But in 2026. But the event took place on August 28th, 1989. It was taking place at the Meadowlands Arena, which was also called the Brendan Byrne Arena, but commonly known as the Meadowlands, East Rutherford, New Jersey. It had an impressive attendance of 20,000, which was effectively a near sellout at the time. The live gate revenue generated 350,000. There was approximately 625,000 pay-per-view buys domestically, and it scored a 4.8 pay-per-view rating. Put that into context, the Rumble scored 165,000 buys in 1989. The Survivor Series scored 385, but WrestleMania 5 scored 760,000 buys. So quite a substantial difference between SummerSlam and WrestleMania, but clearly showing that SummerSlam was the second top pay-per-view even back then. And bear in mind, this is only the second edition of SummerSlam going up against the first edition of the Royal Rumble, really, because the 88 was a TV special, and the third incarnation of the Survivor Series. So the more established pay-per-view didn't generate the buys as much as it did at SummerSlam.
Yeah. But that's the thing, isn't it? It's still earlier days. I know it was only like we'd had the WrestleMania was still finding its feet in some ways. Wasn't quite the global juggernaut that it is known as nowadays. But I mean, I think that's like what we know with what WWE are doing now, isn't it? It's the fact that now this year coming up is the very first ever 2-night SummerSlam. So they are trying to mirror WrestleMania for SummerSlam now to make it that. So you've got the two big ones sort of like 6 months or so apart, and have that. So
I kind of think you're giving WWE a bit too much credit there for that. I think it's more about the bottom line, the dollar. They know that,
of course
because next year,
but that's what they're trying to do. Yeah. It's like if they can make it bigger, the more money they're going to bring in. And
I mean, you take that endurance weekend, right? The long weekend where you literally had 3 WWE events in one weekend. I mean, one of them was terrible. I'll let you work out which one was that. Was it the Great American Bash? Was it Saturday Night's Main Event? Or was it Evolution? You can work out which one you think. And I have a feeling next year at the Royal Rumble, we're going to be going 2 nights in Riyadh. I've just got this feeling. I know they've announced one night, but I've got this feeling we're going to go 2 nights.
I'm still annoyed at that because I was planning on going to the Rumble next year until they announced it was going to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and I was like, I'm not going there. So
just go back to LA and go back to WrestleMania.
Nah, I'm not going to Vegas. I'm not going to Mania. The reason why I looked at Rumble was because I was like, it'll be a shorter trip. I can just go for the couple of days or so. And it'll be a cheaper one and it would be more doable. But yeah, it going to Saudi Arabia next year is kind of ruined that for me.
Well, let's take it back to SummerSlam. I mean, you said earlier on that this is one of your favorite SummerSlams. It's one of mine. I can't tell you why, but why?
I don't know. I don't know whether it's a nostalgia thing or what, but it's got a nice mixture of everything. I mean, I said to you off air, and I know we're going to cover it, and I love it. I love this pay-per-view just for Dusty Rhodes' promo before his match with Honky Tonk Man. Honestly, Dusty just delivers, and it's just nothing but fun. But it's got a bit of everything. I mean, it starts off with a tag team match between 2 stellar teams. Bret Hart, Jim Neanville, Neidhart, the Hart Foundation against Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard of the Brainbusters. I mean, I think that was either the longest or second longest match of the night as well.
It was the longest.
Given time, yeah. Oh, it was the longest. Okay, I'm glad you fact-checked that one. And it was good that they were given the opportunity to showcase. I mean, it was a great opener. Then you've got it. Just seemed to be balanced nicely. You get off with a stellar tag team match between 2 of the absolute best tag teams at the time. You have a bit of fun with because you have Dusty and Honky Tonk Man. You have more of a showcase piece for Mr. Perfect against Red Rooster Terry Taylor. Then you go into you've got your fabulous. I love the Fabulous Rougeau brothers. I'm probably like their only fan. And Rick Martel. With Slick and Jimmy Hart at ringside. I mean, come on, what a combo at ringside that is against the Rockers and Tito Santana. And then you head off to probably what was deemed to be the second biggest match of the card, which was Warrior versus Rick Rude for the Intercontinental Championship match. Then you bring it down to a bit more fun again with Demolition Hacksaw versus Andre and Akeem and Big Boss Man. Slick again and Heenan. Another great team to have at ringside. Then you've got something which is like a filler match between Greg Valentine and Hercules. Then you've got a weird one between $1 Million Man and Jimmy Snuka. And then you get to the showcase piece, that main event. I just think it's layered quite nicely.
It's a really, like, I think you used the term balanced earlier on. It's
Yeah.
really nice because the one thing you don't want to do when you book a card is to go high, 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 because you get burnout. So you've got the high, the low, the high, the low, the high, the low. I want to go back to the tag match though, because 2 years on the bounce, the Hart Foundation opened SummerSlam in tag team classics. The first year at 88, they went up against Jock and Raymond and the Fabulous Rougeaus. And this year they went up against the Four Horsemen, the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, which I watch these retro shows sometimes. I don't know about you. And I watch them and I listen to the commentary. So I listen to Tony Schiavone and I listen to Jesse Ventura. Now, Schiavone must have been in a really weird position because he obviously knew Blanchard and Anderson quite well from NWA, WCW days as the Four Horsemen. How much control, I mean, you've commentated and I've commentated as well. So's Mitch and Dimitri. How much control does it take to not slip into the Four Horsemen or referencing the Nature Boy Ric Flair or referencing Ollie Anderson or referencing WCW? And I watch these events now and I suddenly go forward and go, Self, what do you think of the commentary now? And Self says, you can imagine Joe Testatori or Michael Cole or Pat McAfee or Corey Graves referencing their history in WCW or referencing their history in the NWA. And it's really weird when you look at it because it's two of the greatest tag teams in professional wrestling, but the WWF audience didn't know that.
No. I think obviously back then, Vince is fully in control. I think now, even because obviously the partnership with TNA now gets referenced as well. I think that's something now which I do like about the Triple H era and with under TKO is that kind of, wrestling fans aren't stupid. They know who these people are. Well, majority of fans do. They know their history. They know where they've been. Let's not pretend otherwise. Let's reference it. Like, why not? And I think that's one of the things, as you touched on, we've done commentary before. What I like to give the audience that are listening in is as much background info on the talent as possible so that they're all clued in and they know, oh, really, that guy was there or that woman was there and, oh, they've done this, oh, they've wrestled so-and-so and blah, blah. Well, okay then, and it just makes them, develop a little more of an interest about who they're watching and think, oh, really, that they're multi-time tag team champions in this other promotion or wherever, so they must be a legit team. Okay, right. Well, I'm really dialed in now. This should be, as JR might have said, a barn burner. This would be, this is going to be top notch stuff. But that's one of the things I always got frustrated about with Vince was why does he have to treat wrestling fans like they're stupid or that nothing exists outside the World Wrestling Federation?
Because I think in Vince's mind, it was a sign of weakness to recognize the competition, right? It was a case of I'm the perennial brand. I'm the premier brand. And this is all you should be watching is the World Wrestling Federation. Forget the fact that we were part of the NWA. My dad was one of the bookers for NWA or sat on the committee. Yeah. Forget the fact that half of our roster have come from the AWA or come from the NWA or something like this. And right the way through, I think McMahon's mentality was always that it was the World Wrestling Federation was the worldwide leader in sports entertainment. I mean, even that tagline that they said, the worldwide leader in sports entertainment, was referencing that there were other companies out there without referencing that there were other companies out there.
But there's also that flip side, though. Like, he could still hype the WWF out as the creme de la creme, the premier promotion to be in, when he turns around and says, all these people have been elsewhere, but look where they are now. They've all left where they were all successful because this is the big league. This is where everyone wants to be. So he could have used that to his advantage. I mean, it wasn't when Flair joined, and obviously there was the whole thing over the real world champion. That was referencing where he had been.
Yeah, but I think that was more because of the fact that Flair had walked out of WCW with the NWA championship. So that was like Flair, McMahon going 2 fingers up to you. I've got your belt, right, and I'm going to promote it. But I know it was always, and we're changing gears here again, but I know it was always a bit of a joke tagline that they said on Nitro. But Bischoff did it really well because WCW Monday Nitro, where the big boys play, basically saying it's where the best competition is. And for 83 weeks, as we know, it was. But to go back to this match, I mean, this tag team match by the critics has been labeled a tag team classic, a tag team clinic, the best match of the night. And people are saying that the finish that involved the enforcer, Arn Anderson, who was the illegal man who got the win with a double axe handle, was a classic heel tactic. And that, I think what I loved about this match, and we're going to go for break in a minute. What I love about this match is the fact that, you know, they went two different style teams. You had the technical wizard of the Hitman Bret Hart with the brawler of Jim the Anvil Neidhart against the technical mat wrestling of the Horsemen. And it just gelled really nicely.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where there are a list of tag teams that have been in professional wrestling where you could just put any of them with each other and just say, go do your thing. And you could have full trust and faith in them that they will, if you just let them do what they do, they will deliver. And this is a prime example of that. I mean, what you just mentioned about it being a classic and a clinic, and that, you know, those comments are not wrong. They are spot on. And it was the perfect opener. What a way to, you know, kick off SummerSlam than that. It was perfect.
It got the crowd hyped, didn't it? You know, it really got the crowd electric. It got them thinking, this is what's going to happen. This is how we're going to do it. And it was just a brilliant way of doing it. I was over the moon with this matchup. Of course, then we had, you know, the Dusty Rhodes match that went too long. Let's just say, went too long.
Oh, his promo is the best thing ever. Do you know the amount of times I just watched the clip on YouTube or I load up SummerSlam 89 just to skip to that bit. It's just, honestly, it was Dusty Rhodes having fun. You know, I know a lot of people, you know, have criticised how Vince booked Dusty, you know, and put him in the polka dots. But when you see him there and he's like, he's making the most of it. You know, when he comes out and he's like, oh, let me tell you about myself tonight. I ain't been so excited since my first day with Saturday good. And besides that, the facts are in. The man say, Dusty Rhodes, I am the proprietor of Heartbreak Hotel. That wear the blue suede shoes. You can't sing. Prove you wrong. You can't dance. We know I can dance circles around you. And now they say, prove to me in public, if you will, come and get it at SummerSlam. Excitement galore, the honky tonk. In just a few moments, you get the opportunity to show the public that Dusty Rhodes can wrestle. And brother, I'm going to mark down this one tonight. I'm going to kick your booty. There you go. I had to. I loved it. I love it.
Do you know what? I was going to play the audio of Dusty's. I don't need to now. You've done it. Amazing. I was going to play the audio.
I love it.
Dusty Rhodes was...
Love that, man.
Again, the more we do these shows, and we've got a plan for like the rest of the year in terms of what we're going to cover, but the more we do these shows, the more I go, oh, I want to do an episode on Dusty Rhodes. But you can't, can you? You can't do...
It would go on forever. We did 3 for Triple H. We've got a continuous Rock one that we've only done 1 part on so far. We've got so many, you know, 1, 2, 3 parters. Dusty Rhodes, I mean, is a whole series, you know, to cover what he's done.
You could do like 2 months worth of shows focusing on the NWA, the WCW, TNA, the booking, the Dynasty, you know, all that type of thing. We will do something on Dusty Rhodes, I promise you, but it's going to take quite a bit of planning. But we will do something on that. So the Dusty Rhodes match, we don't talk about it. It was good. For the promo, it wasn't good for anything else. But
the guitar over the head on Honky was good, followed by the elbow baby. That was, I like the finish. I like the finish.
It's wonder Jeff Jarrett didn't go for gimmick infringement a few years later, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or the American Dream. What was it about? You know that the conversation that we had earlier on in the show about not referencing the competition, right? Wrestling fans, if you were a wrestling fan, a diehard wrestling fan, and Joe Aguinaldo is the one to talk to about this, would know Dusty Rhodes as being the common man would know Dusty Rhodes as being the American dream, but a much more harder version than the polka dot black and yellow singlet wearing Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Now, it's been well documented that it was a rib on Dusty by Vince McMahon, but seriously, what possesses a promoter to sign someone the lineage of Dusty Rhodes and put them and try and make them into a comedy act? Because the biggest regret I had for Dusty Rhodes was never becoming world champion.
Yeah, I mean, it's if Dusty had appeared not quite himself and it really looked like you could tell he wasn't enjoying it. I think this is one of the things I think you really got to give a lot of credit to Dusty Rhodes as a model professional. Is as much of a rib it was, he made the most of it. He made the most of it. He put 110 million% into what he was given. You know, we have the whole storyline with Sweet Sapphire and the $1 million Ted DiBiase and all that, and I've really got to stop doing it. He did it, and it was also nice to see when he teamed up with Dustin. When they took on $1 Million Man and Virgil, that was great to see them team up. But yeah, it's a bizarre one. But this is Vince McMahon. This is why I always say Vince McMahon, for all the things he did right, he was a genius. But for some of the decisions he made was absolutely bizarre, and I'll never understand why that's the direction they went with Dusty. I don't know whether Dusty was just kind of like, I've already been, I've not been champion. He should have been. Absolutely, it's absolutely a criminal that we talk about Dusty Rhodes, and the world talks about Dusty Rhodes like he is Mount Rushmore, multi-time champion that is in that bracket. But he wasn't multi-time champion. He didn't carry that. But because of everything else Dusty Rhodes was, he still belongs up on that Mount Rushmore. He still gets put in the bracket with all the champions that there's ever been. And that, for me, is just credit to Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, yeah.
Because it takes something special to be in those conversations with the biggest names of all time that have all been world champion at least once in their careers. And Dusty Rhodes not really have all those achievements, but everything else about him was up there.
Dusty was, I think, a natural comparison to Dusty is Roddy Piper. Because, Piper, similar sort of vein to Dusty, right? He never won the world strap in the promotions. The highest he got was the Intercontinental single strap in the WWF. I think he was US champion in the NWA, I think. But, so mid-card title, but there is a massive argument to state that he didn't need the world title because of the fact that he had that natural charisma. He had that ability to be face or heel. He had the ability to get on a mic and give you a story and give you a promo that you got sucked into. So, if you do a Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, you've got to have Dusty, in my opinion, Dusty and the Hot Rod on that 5 mountain. Yeah. But one of the terms that we hear a lot in modern era professional wrestling is GOAT, the greatest of all time. And everybody is saying it's John Cena or The Rock or Steve Austin.
You'll never know who is the greatest of all time.
I was about to say, it's very subjective.
Their own legit reasons for being so. Different eras carry different things. And
that's what I was going to say. I don't think you can use that terminology because it is subjective. See, I can't pick one GOAT. Dusty is one of the greatest of all time.
You call one a GOAT, you're doing a huge disservice to everyone else that deserves the same moniker.
But it is very similar to that Mount Rushmore argument, though, isn't it? Yeah. We all use that Mount Rushmore analogy of who are you going to put on your Mount Rushmore? Which 5 superstars are you going to put on your Mount Rushmore? And they're interesting conversations because Joe's will be different to Mitch's, which will be different to Dimitri's, which will be different to yours, to Mike's, to mine, to Dave Meltzer's.
And sometimes it will change from week to, from conversation
era to era. Yeah, it could be that without putting words in your mouth, your Mount Rushmore could have had Hulk Hogan on it up until recently, right? Hogan might now be off and it might be Shawn Michaels on there instead. I don't know. I'm just, I'm making it up. Yeah. But you see where I'm going. It's very subjective to have that conversation. At the end of the day, I think as fans, we need to respect the performers for what they do in the ring and just enjoy the product. Because I am getting so sick of going on social media and seeing this WWE versus AEW battle.
Yeah.
Or one person turning around and saying, oh, if the World Wrestling Federation done this, we would be loving it. But enjoy what you want to enjoy. Right? I didn't like All In. I didn't like the main event of All In.
No.
Because it was too much blood.
Yeah.
Didn't need
absolutely.
it. And someone put a comment on there on a Facebook post going about that. And I went back and said, why do you need to bash the WWE? You know, why do you need to bash TNA? Why do you need to do this? At the end of the day, there was far too much blood in that Texas death match at All In. Yeah. And do you know what the response I got?
What?
A Texas death match has blood in it.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is another reason why you should join Celebrate Wrestling when you go to Facebook, and because we don't get people like that in our group, because it's a no joke zone. You know, we love wrestling, all forms, all promotions. Just love wrestling. That covers everything. Whatever you're into, we don't bash everybody else who's got a different opinion.
It's like, have you seen the Gail Kim tweet that went out recently? About
I think
people from Evolution, because the legends were on Evolution and people were body shaming them.
Yeah.
Ivory looked a bit rounded in the face. She's in her 50s.
Yeah.
She can still kick your ass.
Oh, yeah. Try telling that to Jacqueline.
Yeah. Try telling that to Jazz.
Yeah.
I just think it's so damn disrespectful for wrestling fans or any fans on social media to critique, because I'm not being funny.
You're not going to look the same as you did 20, 30 years ago. You're not.
No, but also, you know, I'm not going to make any comments about anyone. I'll make a comment about myself. I'm a fat git, right? So, you know, I'm overweight. I'm fat. I've got no right to turn around and say that someone who went out for our entertainment week in and week out, year on year on year, and now we're going to body shame them? Who the do we think we are?
Yeah. Well,
how did we get onto this?
Yeah. But it's true, though, isn't it? It's true. I mean, I've got my own weight loss journey, as you know.
Yeah.
It's going well, but it's difficult. You know, I'd quite easily say, yeah, you're a big guy, and now I'll just call you sexual white chocolate. Well, there we go.
I like white chocolate.
Yeah, but there you go then. Sexual white chocolate. Andy Evans. There we go. Boom, done.
Mike, if you make that into a T-shirt, I quit.
Along with Wackabush. I still love that one.
Well, I know what T-shirt we got coming.
If you know, you know. So
I know what T-shirt we've got coming.
Oh, he knows.
Mike and I have confirmed it. I know there is a Legends T-shirt coming, and I know what's on it. I don't think you're going to be disappointed.
But yeah, going back to it. Yeah, Dusty Rhodes, absolutely. The Mount Rushmore thing is just, you know, why bother? Because there aren't enough spaces on the Mount Rushmore to put everyone on that should deservedly be on there. Sometimes for different reasons, you know. So, but it was a fun, short, not a great match, a very, very fun, short thing. The promo and the finish were my two favourite parts. Yeah. And Dusty coming out to Common Man, and he's dancing away, having the time. But he's like, honestly, I love it.
You know what? Dusty Rhodes dancing is the personification of dad dancing.
Oh, it's amazing.
I break those shapes out when I'm out with the little, and she hates it. You know, I've been doing We Will Rock You for the amateur group I work with, and one of the songs we're doing is A Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen, and all my dance teacher said to me was vibe. I'm 44 years old. I have got no clue what the hell vibe means, right? I'm not down with the kids. I'm old. But, you know, you were doing and I broke out the Dusty Rhodes moves.
Why not? Could never go wrong with Dusty.
I got told to stop.
What are you doing? Just say, you know, I'm embodying the spirit of you know, son of a plumber, one of the greatest of all time.
It did go a little bit too far when I started crossing over Dusty Rhodes with Michael Jackson. I mean, that kind of just went,
You're throwing a bit of Mick Foley, Dude Love dance moves in there as well.
Oh, I could do that in the next. We've still got one more performance. I could do that. Anyway, let's go back. This has gone way off tangent. One of the big, you referenced it earlier on, one of the big matches of this card, which had plenty of filler. Let's be honest, it did have plenty of filler, and it was really made up of 3 core matches. Huh?
Rooster.
Yes. Was the Intercontinental Championship match, the Macho Man, ravishing Rick Rude against the Ultimate Warrior, accompanied to the ring by Bobby the Brain Heenan. Now, ravishing Rick Rude was not the Ultimate Warrior. What I find really scary about this match, and it's time that we bring out the rest in peace meter, is that all 3 of the men are no longer with us. Have you watched this on Netflix?
Not on Netflix. I've got physical copies of it.
Okay. So you know when they do the promo trailer to lead you up the storyline angle to get you ready for the match, there's clips of superstars of wrestling.
Yeah.
So bottom right-hand corner, it says WWF superstars of, and they have blurred out of wrestling.
Someone put a screen grab up on one of the wrestling groups about it, and actually, because apparently it was a copyright over something, and they were told they couldn't have superstars of wrestling because it copyrighted a company, a promotion that actually was in effect, and it couldn't be superstars of wrestling, which is why they scrapped the whole wrestlers, and it then ended up just becoming WWF superstars.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's stopped me in my tracks because I'm going to go on this whole tirade about why Netflix is censoring stuff. But okay, I'll shut up. What did you think of the match? Because the match was the rematch from WrestleMania 5. Of course, it's known for the return of the hot rod, Rowdy Roddy Piper.
What is the purpose for Roddy Piper being here?
There's been a lot of animosity between Piper and Ravishing Rick Rude. We've seen it on prime time.
And look at Rude giving it to him. Look at Rude giving it to him.
Oh! And Piper gave it right back. And now the attention of Rick Rude is all with Roddy Piper.
Oh, no!
Here's a man who is back in the World Wrestling Federation and back in a big way. Roddy Piper, come on in.
Bottoms up.
A little celebrating for you here,
I like
apparently.
Pete Rose, too. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to drive Voyager 3. That's what I'm going to do next. What's a Scotsman wear under his kilt?
You're not asking me a question like, how would I know?
How would you know? His shoes. I can get a little rude myself there, young fella. You want to have a party? Tell me something. The Heenan camp, who's running that? George Steinbrenner? Steinbrenner, is that his name?
I think Bobby Heenan is still in control last time I checked.
Bobby Heenan, the eunuch of the WWF. Everybody's got to pay to Piper sooner or later. You want to play and have fun, Rude? And now you ain't the champion no more, you know. I thought you made such a good I can't be rude. A good champion, I thought you made him. My friend, the Ultimate Warrior, who is now standing out there, the Intercontinental Champion. And suppose you're going to say it's my fault, you know. And I start thinking to myself, of course it's my fault. Did you think I was going to let you get away with that? Got a bit of a rep myself, you know. Got a little reputation that I got to uphold. You think I ain't dealt with gorillas like you before? It's been wonderful to see you. A couple of things I'm going to do. I'm going to eat a garage. And I'm going to watch some more of these matches and going to get rude.
All right, only one of a kind. Roddy Piper, the Scotsman, is back in the World Wrestling Federation.
Oh, with the little flash of the derriere under the kilt, yeah. Do you know what? I've made no secret. I was never a Warrior fan as such. I mean, he was a great specimen to look at, you know, and to see him go, you know, larger than life, almost inhuman, like. But his matches with Rick Rude were matches that were very watchable, and very enjoyable. And I actually, give a lot of credit to Rick Rude for bringing out probably the best in Warrior we ever saw was during their feud. Because I was invested. It was the only thing really, apart from when Warrior went against Hogan at WrestleMania 6, it was the only time I was ever really invested in what Warrior was doing. But was his rivalry with Rick Rude. Starting off with Jesse Ventura called it the Pools Down at the Royal Rumble, which, would eventually, talking about rivalries that were going on, because back then some rivalries did go on for a long time, and this was a culmination of what was going on from the Royal Rumble all the way through to SummerSlam, and and what a way to bring Hot Rod back, because we all knew Hot Rod and Warrior had friendship. I remember, I don't know if you remember, and back then in the very late 80s, early 90s, when they released the WWF comic books. They had a series of comic books, and there was a story where the Undertaker was evil, and there was this thing against him and Warrior, and they depicted Warrior and Hot Rod as the best friends, and Hot Rod actually helps him, and all this great stuff to read when you was a kid. But yeah, what way to bring him back?
It was great, wasn't it? I think we already knew Piper was on his way back because of that WrestleMania 5 skit with Morton Downey Jr. and Brother Love, but. You made an interesting point there, because you referenced the feud between Rick Rude and the Ultimate Warrior. Did you enjoy it more the first time or the second time? Because the way I'm going with that is they doubled up at SummerSlam. They did 89 for the IC title, and then they did 90 in a steel cage for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, this time with Warrior defending and retaining the strap against Rick Rude.
I think... overall, I'm taking nothing away. That cage match was a very good cage match. Again, when we talk about like Rick Rude bringing out the best of Warrior, who would have thought Warrior could really do a proper cage match?
Yep.
And he did. But I think in terms of the actual rivalry and all the things that ensued, I'd probably go with the first time round. Was more fun, more had me clued in, and also probably because it was actually the first time you're actually watching Warrior actually doing, being included is something really, really good. But not to take anything away from the second time and that cage match, because that cage match was fantastic. Again, it's a shame that Warrior wasn't able to have that brought out of him with other opponents. Because there are other people in the promotion over those years that I think he really could have worked properly well with. But we know how difficult he could be to work with. There's been no secret about that. I say the first time round, but those two just work so well together. And,
89-90 was, and to a degree, a period in 91 was the best 2.5 years for the Ultimate Warrior, wasn't it, really? You could see they were really strapping a rocket up his backside to take him to the main event. It was a great match. It went for quite a long time, actually, as well. I think it was going on for about 20 minutes or something like that, which was really unusual for an Ultimate Warrior match.
Warrior was like the first Goldberg, wasn't it? Really, in some ways, that's kind of how it was. Not taking anything away from either men, but that's how the matches usually would be.
What a great analogy! What a great comparison, comparing the Warrior to Goldberg.
But it was.
No, you're right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. That's like when everyone was like, when they made this big deal, all these wrestling fans years later that made all this big deal about Goldberg with all the squash matches and being quite stiff and that. And it was like, yeah, but this is nothing new. We had this in WWF with Ultimate Warrior for years. Like, this is nothing new. It was no surprise. And then you look at someone like Great Khali thrown into the mix, who was even less athletic. It was just stiff. Just stiff. They talk about wrestlers like Bret Hart, where he could have a wrestling match with a broom and make the broom look good. Great Khali was the broom.
Yes, couldn't agree more. And a very stiff broom at that. We talk about time lengths. So this match ran for 16 minutes and 2 seconds compared to 16 minutes 23 for the tag team match. So not much in it. The main event, which we're going to talk about next, was 15 minutes and 4 seconds. So the two undercard matches ran longer than the main event.
Yeah.
Which, not really surprising.
No. I just want to very, very quickly, we touch on where we said about why they blurred out Superstars of Wrestling. The fact is that it was a legal dispute. A promoter by the name of Albert Patterson, no related to Pat, who was a Wisconsin independent wrestling promoter. He trademarked the phrase in 1993 successfully, and they weren't able to settle with the usage of Superstars of Wrestling. So that's why they've blurred it out of the things, and they had the rebrand to Superstars. He won a legal dispute over the name. So yeah, Vince seemed to have a lot of successful winning court cases, apart from when it came to names.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his kryptonite sort of thing.
Get the ow out. You could imagine the
Yeah.
WWF superstars, get the ow out. Again, it's all about animals. Let's talk about this main. Let's talk about this main event. Again, I look back on this now and I kind of went, "Ooh, this is interesting," because again, 2 years running SummerSlam and a tag team in the main event. Of course, '88 was Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks. This time it's the Mega Maniacs. The Mega Maniacs, if you want. Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake going up against the Macho King Randy Savage and Zeus.
Here at SummerSlam, Brutus the Barber Beefcake and the World Wrestling Federation champion, Hulk Hogan.
You know something, Mean Gene? Ever since me and the Barber hooked up, we've been hanging and banging, brother. And we also been riding our Harley Davidsons through a lot of heavy traffic, dude. But on the way to the Meadowlands today, when we hit the George Washington Bridge, it was at a standstill. So me and the Barber, we just looked at each other, brother, and we decided to head for the water, brother. We headed for the Henry Hudson River, and just like Moses parted the Red Sea, that's exactly what happened when the pythons started heading for the river. And once we crossed the river, Mean Gene, everybody on Interstate 95 pulled off to the side. All the Hulkamaniacs with the stares in their eyes, with their jaws hanging, with the dumbfounded looks, couldn't believe the largest arms in the world hanging on to a pair of ape hangers, ready to do battle. They couldn't believe the gleam in the Barber's eyes. And we know why, don't we, Brutus?
You know me, Gene. These are titanium steel blades. They will cut through absolutely anything. You know, I love the blades, Gene. The blades are part of me. Now, Madness, listen up, 'cause I'm gonna make them part of you.
I can't believe that, Hulk Hogan.
You better believe it, Mean Gene.
Yeah.
But the thing that all those Hulkamaniacs that were stopped on the side of the road couldn't believe was the package I had riding on the back of my fender, brother, with those long, sexy, curvaceous legs that wrapped around me, with the arms that hung onto my waist for dear life, with a set of headlights that were pointed straight ahead, brothers, and the smile across the secret weapon's face, just like an acre of sunshine. Satisfaction guaranteed. We're gonna take it to him, brother. We're gonna wipe out the Macho Man. We're gonna destroy Zeus, and then we're gonna get Scary Sherry and put her in her place. What are you dudes gonna do when the Barber, the Blade, and Hulkamania run wild on you?
Get ready for the big main event here at SummerSlam. Wow.
I'm glad they didn't continue the trend.
No, I'm glad. It's a solid main event. I think Brother Brutai, as they used to call him, Brutus, was probably having the time of his life, main eventing with the biggest star in professional wrestling on in such a huge, Andy's doing the Mega Powers handshake there. But yeah, in such a main event that had a lot of focus and a lot of build, considering Brutus and Savage had nothing to do with No Holds Barred, but it was a nice way that they brought in again. And I know we've mentioned this on previous shows. For me, Sherry really makes a lot of this.
Oh God.
Sherry absolutely carries a lot of this to the point where she actually gets involved towards the end of the match, as we know. But yeah, it was exactly what you expected it to be. Even though Hogan was the biggest star, they still kind of went in as underdogs because of how good Savage was, but because of how inhumane Zeus was being built, this superhuman like character that couldn't be beaten, couldn't be hurt, anything like that. And they sold it very well. And I think Tiny Lister deserves a lot of credit coming in to this and making it work. And he didn't break character. He was Zeus from start to finish, which was really weird for someone who grew up watching him as Zeus when you see him in other movies like the Friday movies and, even as late as 2008, The Dark Knight, where he's one of the prisoners on one of the ships and things like that. And it's kind of like, oh, like what this is, oh, it's Zeus. Like, that's all you knew. And then you could see actually he was a very good actor. God rest him.
He was in Star Trek.
Yes, he was. Very good point. Yeah, he was. It was nice to actually be able to see what else he could do other than portray the Zeus character. And but yeah, the match went as much I went to, which was almost a typical Hogan match where he's on the defense a lot, where he's down, he's sweaty, and he's with the whatever locks he's got on the back of his head dripping in sweat, and he's struggling to make the tag, and Brutus is about as useful as a tortoise laying on its back, and and it's very much dominated for the most part by Savage and Zeus until Hulk starts to Hulk up. And
then you knew it was all over.
And we know, and then all of a sudden, the power of Hulkamania overcomes Zeus. It either can rock him and he puts him down. But as I said, for me, Sensational Sherry she was the highlight of this for me.
There's no doubt. I mean, she was, and she is one of the true MVPs of the classic era professional. When we said that before, when we talked about managers, the match, though, got absolutely ripped apart by critics, calling it a dull match, a crap match, a dumb 80s main event, which is what it was, considering we were on the... But we were on the transition to the 1990s, weren't we? And it was, like you said, it was a Hogan clinic. It was start off, Hogan gets the advantage, beat down, get to the hot tag, gets beat down, get to the hot tag, hulks up, leg drop, win.
This is what frustrates me a lot about with wrestling fans that are very anti-Hogan is it's a shame that there's not ever a lot of focus on where Hogan can really wrestle. People forget Hogan could really wrestle. You watch his matches in Japan with Great Muta, for example. Hogan could wrestle, but they seem to forget that when you're wrestling in a promotion and your boss is saying, this is all I need you to be, this is all I need you to do, you're getting paid extremely well, you are the big star, and you are the golden child of the company. What do? You do what you're supposed to be doing. I think because Hogan was thrown into the starlight and all the main focus on Hogan was in his time in WWE before going to WCW. That's what people were exposed to. A lot of people didn't really watch what he did in Japan. People didn't see that he could really wrestle. You can see it now because you can go to the clips on YouTube and watch them. And I do think if people go, oh yeah, but Hogan didn't wrestle, it's just like the original John Cena. The 5 moves of doom. All it's just this is he just sells and then he just hulks up and he scoop, like body slam, big boot, leg drop, done, and all that. Like it's like, well, yeah, that's what he was paid to do. That's what he was asked to do and told to do. But don't ever say Hulk Hogan couldn't wrestle because the evidence is out there. You just got to, as to quote Gillian Anderson as Dana Scully in X-Files, the truth is, the answers are there. Truth is out there. The answers are there. You just have to know where to look. That's where it is. So I think when Hogan had this rivalry with Randy Savage, I do kind of wish that Vince had said, we know how good Savage is in the ring. We know how he can wrestle. He's a proper wrestler. Okay, Hulkster, I want you to actually show the world what you can do. I want you to actually wrestle him. What we could have had if they had wrestled.
Do you know what? That opens up a whole different avenue of discussion. And because I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying, but do you know what? I don't think the wrestling fans back at that time would have accepted it.
Probably not. The fandom's changed. What you expect and what you want has changed now. Now we want to see people that really, really wrestle and put on all these matches. Back then, it was just we want to see larger than life. Yes. We just want the excitement, the fun.
Yeah. And I think they got so used to watching Hogan do Hogan and do the formula, if you will, that to suddenly change that and get... I mean, it's use your Great Khali analogy from earlier on. It's like having the Great Khali come down and do a technical masterpiece with Bret the Hitman Hart, right? It's never going to happen.
No.
And if it did, the fans would just go, boo. And I think that's what would have happened with Hogan. I don't disagree with you. I mean, I've seen some of those matches in New Japan on YouTube and other places. And yeah, he can go. But I think by this point, once you've done it for so long and you've seen the success and you've seen the popularity and you've got the pop, and we know what the ego of Hogan is like, you don't go back. Because why would you break something? Why would you change something that's not broken?
Do you think, I know you said this opens up a whole can of new discussion. Do you think, though, in hindsight, this might be one of the reasons why, I mean, we talk about maybe the silly gimmicks like Mantar and a certain garbage man and all that. Like, do you think maybe we know that probably contributed greatly to where the WWE struggled in the 90s, especially when the new generation showed? And do you think that's maybe one of the reasons why they struggled to, at first, to make Shawn and Brett the likes of the big stars on the level of like Hogan was because these guys were actual wrestlers. It wasn't the same formula.
I think that it was a twofold attack. I don't think they knew how to book them effectively.
Yeah.
And it's only really when you start seeing... I mean, why do you think we got the ladder match between the Hitman Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series 92? Or we had the Hitman Bret Hart against the Bulldog at SummerSlam 92. Yes, it was a promotional masterpiece, but it was two workers who could go. I think the problem is when you book something this way for so long, when you book the big cartoony characters, and let's never use the words Mantar on this show again, I think you get lazy, and I think you forget how to put a talented technical performer over. And then you need to start getting rid of that excess talent, because until you get rid of that excess talent, who do you put them against?
It's interesting, isn't it? If you think about it, it's only 3 years later that this same event at Wembley Stadium was main evented by Bulldog and Bret Hart, the Intercontinental Champion. What a massive change and shift in, as you say, formula and what they were using as the main event. I mean, yes, we know it was main event predominantly because it was the first pay-per-view, first big event in the UK. British Bulldog, obviously, makes sense. And put him in with his brother. You add the fact that he's actually family with Bret Hart, being married to Bret's sister Diana. You've got all that, so that all kind of fits. But to go with that instead of going with Warrior Savage, which would have been more of the norm of what Vince would have probably have booked prior.
That was clever position. That was clever positioning, because I think that if you would put the Bulldog and the Hitman Bret Hart in the middle, in that the crowd would have got burnt out, and you would have had no crowd reaction. So exactly. I'm not sure how much of that was Vince going, we're going to put Bret and Bulldog at the end. I actually think, knowing the characters as we do and knowing the stories as we do, I reckon that was actually the Macho Man and the Warrior pulling a creative card and going, if we go main event, we're going to get booed out of the building because no one's going to want to see it. Or I don't know, we're not going to get any reaction.
Said that, because we know what Warrior was like. Warrior might have had an issue with it slightly, but maybe he had trust in Savage, and Savage was like, no, we can't go on last. We need to, go on sort of halfway through the show. But either way, it was the right decision. But I'm just looking at, we won't go into any details really, because we're going to cover SummerSlam 93. But if you look at the formula, it goes from Bret Bulldog back to, you got Luger, Yoko. Then you've got Taker versus Fake Taker. And, those are the next two that follow on.
And then you got, but it gets worse than that, because then you got Mabel versus Diesel.
Oh, yeah. So
I think it's weird. I think you're on a transition. I think we're beginning to see this transition from we've already seen it from the 60s to the 70s was very different, to the 80s got more comical. And I think we got into a bit of I think the early 90s, I don't think they knew what they wanted to be, if you want my honest opinion. And then obviously mid 90s, Nitro appears. So then we're going into the Monday Night War. So then they have to change.
Yeah, because there was a lot of uncertain, wasn't it, over the Hogan's future, wasn't it? Because obviously, if you WrestleMania 8, they teased that might have been Hogan's last match, his match against Sid, because you have that little video interview thing between Vince and Hogan, which is a lovely little moment where he actually says, look, if this is where he says to Hogan, like, what happens after this? And he's just like, I don't know, I just don't know. And he says, look, if this is the end, on behalf of myself and all the Hulkamanians, I want to say thank you. and good luck, and he shakes his hand. It was being built up to that, and then obviously, as we know, Hogan would then leave the following year after King of the Ring. So,
well, he was gone at the end of WrestleMania 8. He was gone.
Yeah,
he was out of contract with WWF, and I think if you watch that History of WrestleMania 9 documentary that's on Peacock or available, it was a case of the fact that they asked to bring Hogan back. So we're going to begin to wrap this up. I think this has been a cracking SummerSlam episode. Takeaway thoughts. Where does it stand? Does it still stand the test of time?
I think so. For me, it does. For me, this one will never get old. It's old, but it will never feel old. This is one of those ones. It's just I've got a lot of happy memories from watching this. I almost burnt out the VHS tape. It was
amazing.
Yeah, it's a nostalgic favourite of mine. I wouldn't say it's like a great show, but I have nostalgic favourites, and this is one of those. Definitely.
Well, there we go. It's a classic. You can watch it on Netflix. We'll be back next week with more legends. Until then, for Stefan, I'm me. See you soon.